everybody, my name is Chase Pipes, and you're watching Chasing History, brought to you by Smoky Mountain Relic Room and American Digger Magazine, and we're doing it, we're back, we're digging dinosaurs with a buddy Ty Lamph. Ty,
Yeah.
Thanks for having us out. Ty's got an awesome thing going on here, dude. You've got a dinosaur dude ranch.
We do.
What you got going on?
Well, we've been digging this quarry for about 6 or 7 years now, and it's full of bones. Most of them are fairly common bones. And we build up the quarry and we build up the campground to where we have cabins and we have a shower and everything like that that we can use. And we decided it was time to start bringing people in that want to try this out, want to get the experience, hands-on to dinosaur bones, and actually get to do this that you only get to see on TV.
That's awesome, dude. And you guys aren't very far from Dinosaur, Colorado.
No, we're
right.
We're just 30 minutes away from the monument, from Dinosaur National Monument.
See, it's real easy to get to, and you've got all kinds of amenities and everything like that going on. Like, what all kind of setup do you have?
Well, we've got cabins. You can stay in the cabins. I mean, if you want a tent, you can tent, but we've got cabins you can stay in. We have flushing toilet. We have...
They're really nice. Nice cabins.
We have a shower. I mean,
it's a nice shower.
We provide the food. You know,
do the food, dinner,
and
everything.
You're duded out. I mean, you show up with your suitcase, like you're on vacation and staying at hotels, and you come here and you spend the day digging dinosaurs, or a week spending digging dinosaurs, and stay just like you are at a hotel.
And see, that's kind of something that you're offering here is you don't have set things, you're offering, you know, for their experience.
Yeah,
they tell you what you want, and you cater to the experience.
Yeah, I mean, we custom fit it. I mean, at this point, we're custom fitting it. If somebody wants to come and just spend one day and just kind of get a feel for it, they can. If they want to come and get the whole experience, spend a couple days, help get a big bone out of the ground, jacket it, move it, the whole 9 yards, they can. If they want to come and just play around and get a few small things that they can keep, they can.
You know, and here's the thing, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, dinosaur bones are this just super rare, crazy. What are the chances are that people are going to find stuff?
You will find stuff. If you spend a week here, by the end of the week, you'll be complaining every time you find a bone because it's in the way of the bone that you want to get out of the ground.
No more bones! Stop it! No more bones! You know, see, these fossils aren't rare, they're just hard to get to, and you have done a lot to get down to this layer where there are a whole lot of bones.
There is.
So tell us about what we got going on back behind us here.
Well, this is an old stream channel.
Okay.
So all these bones are washed in like the edge of a river, and they've washed in and they've jammed up like a log jam. And you can see these are a couple different animals, and they're all tangled together. We've got a big scapula and coracoid, we've got ribs, we've got spine tops and some vertebrae coming out. We just took a giant jacket off of here that was a bunch of vertebrae in the way. And like I say, the biggest problem we have is actually getting them untangled and getting them apart from each other. Not finding a bone, it's finding a bone that we can get out without having to untangle from another bone.
So how does this happen? You know, we were talking a little bit yesterday, you know, about how the Serengeti, you know, how do you get these massive piles of bone?
I mean, the best way to describe it that I can think of is you've got, you know, we've all seen the old, the wildlife shows on TV in Africa, and all the wildlife's around the river, and the water holes are drying up, and there's starting to be more things. The lions are hanging out, the crocodiles are hanging out, elephants are dying, and wildebeest are dying, and next thing you know, they've got all these carcasses around the water holes, and they're half chewed, and they're scattered, bones and stuff. Well, in the spring, they usually don't show much of it, but you've got that, you know, the first flood of the spring, and it's a big deal. Well, that first flood of the spring comes in, and it washes all those body parts, and all those carcasses all get swept down the river. And if it hits the right spot, just like logs in a river, like a log jam you see in every river in the world, they'll tangle up and they'll push together, and you'll get a whole big mess of that, except it's with bones.
And see, that really makes a lot of sense. You know, the thing is that, you know, our species, human beings, have done a really good job of wiping a lot of species off of this planet. Yeah. You know, there was a time in this planet where there were, you know, millions of bison, millions of buffalo, and when it crosses the creek, the ones that don't make it, you know, or a flood comes through, get swept down and piled up, and you see that in places where there still are a lot of wildlife, like Africa. But this is back before human beings were around. You know, Fred Flintstone wasn't riding these guys. No. You know, but this is back at a time where these species could just explode, you know, to the point where, you know, you've got like log jams, these bones all piling up like this. That's just, that's awesome, man. So what's the process? So here's what we've done is we've spent, you know, we've come out here, you know, we're doing the Dude Ranch thing, eating good food, hanging out, working on some bone. We've gotten this down to a point where it's ready to come out. So what's the process that we're going to go to next to get this out?
This one right here, we've put a bunch of glue in it, we've stabilized it, we've made it very solid and very stiff at this point. Now, unfortunately, this one's tangled up together. As you can see, it goes underneath there, and there's actually another rib behind it on top of it, and it's tangled up. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to snap this off at a natural break. We're going to actually snap that loose, roll it out of the way, so we can continue working on the bones. And the other half will actually stay in the rock until we can get the bone that's on top of it out of the way. So we'll number this bone. We number every bone. We map it in place where it's going to be, and we put numbers on them. But then we'll have this set aside, and when we get the other half out, we'll know which piece goes to it, and we'll be able to put it back together again.
Okay, okay. All right, so should we get to wrapping this thing up and pulling it off?
We'll get it out of here and get it out of the way.
Well, let's do it. We'll show you guys how we do it.
So what we're going to do now is, so we've got it undercut as much as we can, we've got glue on it as much as we can. The problem is, it's touching a bone right here. We have a rib going underneath here. We have a rib going underneath here. And then these are all spine tops to vertebrae that are going to be 3 foot tall. And it's actually, the water's pushed this up against those verts, and that's what stopped it. So it's actually touching right there. And that makes it very hard to separate. Well, we can't do these jackets that are so big that you can't move them around. So we're going to try to do a clean break, which is a very easy repair. You just put it back together again. We're going to chisel underneath it, and we're going to see if we can loosen this thing up and make it pop.
So you're breaking this on purpose so that you can put it back together.
Yeah, you can see there's natural breaks all over it. Now most of these we've stabilized and glued quite a bit. This big crack right here, we've left glue out of it, so hopefully it'll just separate right on that crack and make a nice clean break. Do as little damage as we can. There's no way to dig these bones without doing some damage. You're always going to do some damage to some degree, but I can guarantee it's a lot less than Mother Nature's going to do if we didn't get them out of the ground.
I got you. Now you can feel this whole bone wiggling.
Yeah, we've been working this for quite amount of time to try to get it separate easily without tear it apart.
Right.
And it's always a little bit tough to get it to separate, because the bottom, if we've not got enough glue in it, if we've not done enough, it will separate and you'll leave bone sitting on the rock, so you'll only pick up half the bone.
Now how heavy is this going to be when we get it out of here?
Oh, this will probably be 45 pounds.
That's wild, and that's just
for half of the rib.
45 pounds for half of the rib. This rib's gonna be, it's like 8 feet long. That's insane. What species is this?
You know, we actually think this is a brachiosaur.
So big sauropod.
Big sauropod.
Big long neck sauropod.
Yeah, big long neck dinosaur.
That's awesome. Now, what time period is this?
This is Jurassic. This is the Morrison of the Jurassic. So we're about 150 million years right here.
So the Morrison. Now, there's a lot of dinosaur bones in the Morrison that are radioactive.
There is.
So what's the deal with that?
Well, at the time, you had a lot of volcanics going on and volcanic ash. A lot of this dirt is volcanic ash.
Okay.
And so you've got the radioactive uranium and stuff that was in that ash leaching out. It's water soluble. So what happened was, depending on how the layers were and the fluids and stuff were going through and how things were fossilizing, so what you have is, this isn't bone anymore. This is turned into rock. So as the calcium and the bone degrades and disappears, it's replaced by a different mineral, by a calcite, by a silica, or by a uranium salt.
Gotcha. Okay.
So uranium salt, because they're water soluble, can wash in and actually get concentrated in these because it's replacing and it's settling there.
That's why you have this concentration.
That's why you have the concentration of uranium in bones or in wood in the Morrison Formation.
And of course, uranium is radioactive.
Yes.
So these are, or some of them could be technically radioactive dinosaur bones.
It depends on, I mean, that's kind of a loose term, radioactive, because there's a lot of things that are radioactive. It's the degree at which they are. These are not so radioactive that they're unsafe.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
So as you can see, this rib head is pushed up against this top of the spine. This is a piece of a vertebrae sticking up here. there's no separation. It's tight against it. You can't tell one bone from the other. It's so tight. So what we're actually going to do is we're probably going to take that spine top with this. It's the cleanest way to break it. So what we want to do is I'm working this here slowly, and you can see this crack opening up along here. You can see the movement. So what I'm trying to do is get enough of a crack that I can do that, but I'm also watching to make sure it's just a single crack. See how that one's moving more? And I'm going to glue along the edge so that it doesn't have more pieces break loose, so that we can do a single break, clean break, and not damage it more than we have to. Now this is what we don't want to happen. See this crack right here is also opening up and separating, so that bone's starting to come apart right there. So what we're going to do is make sure it's together good. We're going to glue it very well, and we're going to let that set up so that that bone does not break where we don't want it to, so that it stays intact and we don't cause damage that is unnecessary.
Now, why wouldn't you jacket this bone?
The problem we have with this bone is we can't get underneath it.
Okay.
Because it's so tight against all these other bones. Up here we could jacket this, but all you would be doing is putting a cap on, and then I wouldn't be able to see if cracks like that are occurring.
I got you.
If I can get underneath the lip on the whole thing, I would jacket this and then flip it over, and that would help protect it. But because I can't get around this whole end because of all these other bones, I could very possibly be doing more harm than I would be good.
Makes sense. So what kind of tools do you use to clean all this up?
Air scribes. It's a vibratory scribe. It's almost like an engraver. So it's got little teeny agitation action, and you'll very carefully work this edge. So as you're going, it's just a little teeny fine point. As it goes, it just sits there like this and pulls the dirt off the bone. And it's a skill. I mean, it's not like the easiest thing in the world. Is because once again, it's very easy to gouge and damage the bone.
Right.
Let me flip it right here a little bit more. Separate right here, very good.
I think that's gonna come right there. Okay, so now we've got to the point where we're ready to pull this out. All right. So what's the steps from here? Because we see we got it kind of separating it out and
cracks there. It didn't crack quite like we wanted, but that's the way it is. So we made sure these cracks are stable and not going to get bad. So I'm going to try, we've got a good crack separated down here. So what I'm going to try to do is lift this up gently. This piece is going to tip up a little bit, but hopefully stay fairly in place and not do any more damage than we have to. And I'm going to stand this one up like this. And roll it out. And roll it out of the way.
That is awesome!
Now the only thing that broke right there is that spine top that was touching it. We couldn't help that no matter what we did.
Right.
But if you look, nice clean break, fairly clean break. And it's going to be an easy repair. You just put it back together again. What you don't want is a whole bunch of crumbled little pieces going every which way.
Right.
This is just a little bit of skin, very small amount that doesn't really hurt anything. I mean, I prefer to keep that skin on there, but it did not
just
lose the integrity of the bone.
Just the top layer of skin. That's so cool. This is awesome, man. I mean, this is the first time in how many millions of years are we talking about?
150 million years.
In over 150 million years that this bone has seen the light of day. And these are the kind of experiences that people can have out here at the Dinosaur Dude Ranch.
Oh yeah, they can help do this. I need all the help I can get.
So if people want to come out and participate in big things like this, they can, or they can come out and they can do smaller stuff.
We've always got a bunch of different things going on, piles of bones we're working on. We've got a layer that we call it salt and pepper that has a lot of teeth. and small pieces, small vertebrae, little limb ends, things like that in it that you can dig in and work on little things that you'll be digging out like this rather than having to spend a bunch of time on this.
Right. That's awesome. Dude, this is awesome, man. I mean, you've got this totally out. I mean, this is just talk about an experience, man. It's a dinosaur bone, dude. You can touch it. Ah, how awesome is that? And people can come up and have these experiences.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the next step on this?
So this one right here, because we flipped it over, this side's not been glued. It's not been stabilized. Now, we did it from the other side, and you always hope to get it all the way through, but sometimes you don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure and get all the dust off that I can, not glue anything I don't want to it. I'm going to go through, and the exposed bone I'm going to actually glue down, and then after it dries I'm going to peel off some more of the sand, the big chunks like this chunk here that's obnoxious sticking out, so it's a little bit more stable, and glue it as well.
Okay. And this bone is just soaking up the glue.
Yeah, this is soft stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we're digging in clay is basically what it is. It's not hard concrete. We're digging in clay. I mean, you're sticking your knife in and pulling pieces out.
Right, and the bone is pretty much the same. It's just a little bit harder.
It is, yeah.
This is incredible, dude. I mean, you know, talk about an experience that you could have. I mean, you know, what kind of ages? I mean, do you have any limits on ages or anything like that for people to come down and do this?
A lot of that, once again, we are going to be a little bit flexible with people. Some kids are a little bit more apt to do this when they're younger than other kids, but we are going to try to keep it 12 and above.
Okay.
I think it's just safer and for the bones and people. It seems like a lot of the younger kids don't have the attention span. But if somebody has a kid that they really want to do this with, we can work something out with them.
And see, here's the thing, guys. You know, I know we get the comments all the time. You know, where can we do this? Where can we go dig dinosaurs? Where can we look for artifacts? Where can we... Here! This is where you can do this. It is available for you to come out here and to have this experience. And most importantly is it's affordable. It is not going to be, you know, some crazy astronomical rate. I mean, you know, I'm sure you're going to do it, you know, like we were talking earlier, you know, you're going to cater it to the experience depending on what the experience is going to be, so what the price is going to be. But I mean, guys, listen, contact Ty, you know, he'll fix you up, and I promise you this is affordable for everybody, because everybody should be able and should be allowed to get out and to enjoy this stuff and to be able to touch a dinosaur bone and discover a dinosaur bone and find this history. That is just awesome, man. So if people want to get a hold of you, if they want to contact you and come out here and do this, how can they do that?
Our Facebook page, Utah Dump Diggers, was an easy way to do it. Email, phone, you name it. We'll give you a flyer you can put at the end of the video, and that's probably the easiest way. Then they've got it right in front of them.
5 seconds, you'll see it. No. Dude, thanks so much for having us out. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you got comments, leave them at the bottom. If you want to know how to get a hold of Ty, leave some comments down on the bottom. We'll hook you guys straight up. Come out and do this, dude. You don't like us? History rocks. Woohoo! We will never, ever, ever be on Twitter. Twitter is evil. That's why we're not on Twitter. But you can follow us on Facebook and YouTube and all those other stuff.